Donald Trump is now claiming that he did not sign the invocation of war powers under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, despite the fact that Donald Trump's name is on the invocation of the Alien Enemies Act. You see right there, it says, by the President of the United States of America on March 15, 2025. And there's his signature saying, in witness whereof I have signed this. It's in the Federal Register, dated Thursday, March 20th, 2025, under presidential documents. Trump is claiming he didn't sign it. He said other people handled it and he didn't know how it was signed. Here's what Donald Trump said moments ago outside of the White House to reporters. This was truly a stunning moment. Here, play this clip.
It doesn't sound like this judge, who the DOJ is arguing with today about the deportation flights. He wants to know why the proclamation was signed in the dark, his words, and why people were rushed onto planes.
Because we want to get criminals out of our country, number one, and I don't know when it was signed because I didn't sign it. Other people handled it. But Marco Rubio's done a great job, and he wanted them out, and we go along with that. We want to get...
Now, we come with receipts here at the MeidasTouch Network. Donald Trump's chief propagandist, who claims she's a press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, held a press conference in the White House shortly after Donald Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act. And she says President Trump signed the proclamation. Play this clip.
President Trump signed a proclamation invoking the Alien Enemies Act regarding the invasion of the United States by the foreign terrorist organization, Tren de Aragua. At the president's direction, the Department of Homeland Security carried out a counter-terrorism operation deporting nearly 200 violent Tren de Aragua terrorists, which will save countless Americans.
Here's Caroline Leavitt. Shortly after that, she goes on state regime media known as Fox with Maria Bartiromo, and she says Donald Trump signed this proclamation, and then she goes on to say, and as a result, she says like over 200 or 300 Venezuelan gang members, and she says are terrorists. The most dangerous, violent people, she said, have been sent to El Salvador. I want to play this, then I want to fact check it. Let's play it.
Morning, Maria. The president signed a proclamation invoking the Alien Enemies Act against Tren de Aragua members who have invaded our country. These are the most violent, heinous criminal monsters you could ever imagine. They have taken the lives of innocent American women like Jocelyn Nungre and Laken Riley. And the president invoked this authority to deport nearly 300 of them who are now in El Salvador, where they will be behind bars, where they belong, rather than roaming freely in American.
Now, one of the things that we are learning, and why I think Donald Trump's claiming that he did not sign this invocation of the Alien Enemies Act, is that a lot of the individuals who ended up being kidnapped by the Trump regime and sent to El Salvador to be placed in concentration camps were not actually gang members. They were not given due process to prove that they were not gang members in the first place. We're learning, for example, that political exiles of Venezuela, professional soccer players who were coaches, who were here lawfully under our lawful asylum process because they may have had Real Madrid tattoos or because they were giving the peace or love sign. The Trump regime said their gang members picked them up, found them in the database because they were lawfully here seeking asylum, shipped them to concentration camps in El Salvador. We're also learning that there were women who were sent to El Salvador, and those concentration camps there are only for men. And so they had to be sent back to Venezuela. And who knows what happened there if they're political exiles from the Maduro regime. We learned a lot about this over the past few days. And then there was a hearing in the federal courts in Washington, D.C. today, where the federal judge, Jeb Boasberg, looks increasingly inclined to hold the Trump regime in contempt. So I think what's happening here is Trump is throwing his own Department of Justice and his own DOJ lawyers under the bus now to try to blame them, because even the Department of Justice lawyer, when getting grilled by the chief federal judge in Washington, D.C., Judge Jeb Boasberg, said, "You were aware, right, that my order meant that you couldn't ship these people. You could have put them through the regular process that we had. You didn't have to release them into the general population of America. but you could go through the regular immigration processes that have always existed until we can assess things like the validity of this order. Was this order signed? What's the war that Donald Trump is claiming exists? What's the process if an individual wants to contest that they're not a gang member? Tell me about that. To which the Department of Justice lawyer said, I'm not prepared. I don't know. I wasn't given information by the Trump regime. I'm just a lawyer for the government. To which Judge Jeb Boasberg said, you best be prepared when you come into my courtroom. That is not an excuse, counsel. Do you understand? Let's go back to some more of the receipts. I just wanted to give you the context. Why is this going on? Why is Donald Trump claiming that I know nothing about this? Because we think a lot of people sent to El Salvador were not the bad guys. We're potentially innocent people lawfully here who are now in concentration camps. This is a massive, massive crisis, folks, that is developing, and we called it when it happened. Here's Donald Trump on Air Force One right here, and Donald Trump was asked about invoking the Alien Enemies Act and whether we're at a war. And Trump said, yes, we're in a war. This is an invasion. Here's what he said. Let's play it.
Criticism that the Alien Enemies Act has only been invoked 3 other times. They were all during times of war. Do you feel that you're using it appropriately right now?
Well, this is a time of war because Biden allowed millions of people, many of them criminals, many of them at the highest level. They emptied jails out. Other nations emptied their jails into the United States. It's an invasion.
Your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. I get so many emails from the Midas Mighty saying how great Miracle Made sheets are and how it's changed their lives for the better. Here's why. It uses silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA. So therefore, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, no matter the weather, so you get better sleep every night. Now, these sheets are also infused with silver, as I said, and that prevents up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets, so no more gross odors. Also, Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without that high price tag of other luxury brands, and it feels as nice to me, if not nicer, than the sheets used by some 5-star hotels. So, upgrade your sleep this year. Go to trymiracle.com/Midas. That's TRYMIRACLE.com/MEIDAS to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Midas at checkout, you'll get a free 3-piece towel set and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Midas and use the code Midas to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Midas to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. Now, it's always projection and confession with Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump has been spending, the last 2 weeks coming up with this bizarre auto pen conspiracy involving former President Biden. And Trump said, look, all of Biden's pardons are not valid because he uses an auto pen, and therefore nothing that he's done is actually signed by him. He didn't know any of this was taking place when former President Biden knew what was taking place. This whole auto pen conspiracy thing made no sense, but it's typical Trump projection. It seems that Trump doesn't even know what's being signed on his behalf. A few days back when Donald Trump was at the Kennedy Center posing in front of nobody on the balcony so he can get his Mussolini photo op, Donald Trump was asked, have you ever used an auto pen? He's like, only for very unimportant matters, only unimportant matters. Let's play it.
And you'll make your own determination.
You have criticized President Biden for using auto pen in the last few days. Have you yourself ever used auto pen, sir?
Yeah, only for very unimportant papers. And I don't call them unimportant. If you do letters where people write in and, they'd love to have a response, or we'll write responses, and I'll sign them whenever I can. But when I can't, would use an auto pen. But to use them for what they've used them for is terrible.
So, Donald, was this one of those unimportant matters where the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, where you invoked war powers that have only been claimed in the War of 1812, World War I, and World War II? That just your people auto pen sign this? And now what? You're terrified because you realize that you probably sent a lot of innocent people potentially to their deaths or to never to be heard from again from their families in El Salvador concentration camps, or now that other countries are issuing travel advisories that if their citizens come to the United States, they may end up in El Salvador concentration camps. Now you're scared, so you need to find people to throw under the bus. Is that what you're doing? Well, guess what? There's new independent media in town, and we're calling it out, and we're going to hold you accountable with the receipts. This is Donald Trump, by the way, in the Oval Office in the past 10 days or so, where Donald Trump says, who uses an auto pen? Who doesn't know what they sign? It's always projection and confession with this individual. Play this clip.
All you have to do is take a look at he signs by auto pen. Who is signing all this stuff by auto pen? Who would think you signed important documents by auto pen? These are major documents you're signing. You're proud to sign them. You have your signature on something. In 300 years, they say, oh, look, can you imagine? Everything was signed by auto pen, almost everything. Nobody's ever heard of such a thing. So should have never happened.
Or you know what? You know who Donald Trump's probably also trying to blame? Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Where did we hear Donald Trump say that he would blame things on his own Secretary of State, Marco Rubio? Oh, at the joint session. Isn't this convenient? Remember this? Play the clip.
And we have Marco Rubio in charge. Good luck, Marco. Now, we know who to blame if anything goes wrong. Marco's been amazing, and he's going to do a great job. Think of it. He got 100 votes.
Well, there you have it, folks. We're going to keep you posted every step of the way here. We come with receipts at the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers together. Thank you for watching.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.